What's up, YouTube? It's your tour guide here, and yeah, it's been a pretty quiet week. Didn't really do anything comic related until just today, and we'll get to that in a bit. But I think in my last video, I covered some books, and then I went over recent books I picked up, as well as I think my last video was my best cover buys of recent hauls. So the best cover buys or covers in recent hauls, and of course I showed off that great Frank Frazetta Death Dealer cover. Heavy Metal 288, beautiful cover, classic cover. That also had, in that book, there's just a bunch of different stories and art by Richard Corbin. I ended up picking up the first graphic novel, a book that he published, that did artwork in, Bloodstar, which was just totally like Unmyeong, just kind of random fate that the book kind of came into my possession. But yeah, Heavy Metal 288, we were just admiring that cover, and I kind of during that video, I convinced myself, made the decision to submit that book for the Peach Momoko CGC signing. Now, as you know, my wife allotted me a certain amount to submit to CGC, and I was going to submit 10 books, and I pulled a book out. I pulled my Daredevil out of that 10 book submission and just made it a 9 because I felt guilty about, it kind of ended up being a little pricey, and I felt guilty, so I took out, I turned that 10 book submission into a 9 book submission. And then as I thought about it, I was like, you know what? When is Peach Momoko ever going to do another signing event like this? Who knows? Maybe she'll do them very frequently, but there's the chance that, because she lives in Japan and because she doesn't make it out here all that often, I do know she's going to New York City Comic Con. I know she goes that consistently, but she doesn't really come out to Emerald City Comic Con, and it's kind of hard to gauge where she's going to be signing and to do all that. And the CGC signing event I thought it was really reasonable in terms of the price. Her books, to get one book signed and slabbed, it was $60. So if you consider just a regular slabbing fee, it's already $40 there. Plus you're getting the signature and all the verification and whatnot. So I thought, you know what, this is a really good opportunity. $60, not that high of a fee for her signature. I think Jim Lee's run for around that amount too, 50 to 60. So yeah, I said, you know what, we're gonna do. I think Jim's is like 50, and then there's separate fees related to slabbing and all that, so I think it ends up costing a little bit more. But Peach Momoko's was like 60 flat for everything, like signature, slabbing, and the verification, or the witnessing, the yellow label. So we sent in that book. We sent in Heavy Metal 288, that great cover, the magazine size, did the submission through the website, got everything together, boxed it up, shipped it out. CGC actually received it yesterday, Thursday. I saw through the postal office app that it was delivered to their P.O. box and somebody picked it up. So obviously that P.O. box, only the CGC people have access to that. So it was marked as received yesterday. And I know it takes a few days to get in the system. We were looking out for it today, but it hasn't popped up yet. So I anticipate by the end of Labor Day, yeah, come next week, we should see it pop up on my account and see it in the system. So that's that, yeah, and we're really excited to get that. And I did a sort of a detailed look at the book. The book is it's a magazine, right? So it's not your typical comic book. It's very sensitive to, you know, handling and creases and all that. So we are expecting that book to come back right around an 8.0 in terms of grade. And then of course with the signature. Now I'm going to keep secret, I did write a message to Peach in Japanese, in hiragana. Now I'm not a native speaker of Japanese. I just lived out there for a few years. I have basic writing, very basic communication skills. But again, I can write in hiragana, and I wrote her a message on, you know, kind of where to sign and what I wanted signed or what I wanted her to do, and we'll just have to see if she obliges, if she meets my request. And in all indications, you know, when she gets a note like that in Japanese, I'm sure she'll be like pleasantly or mildly surprised. And I already did an Instagram post, and on that Instagram post, Peach responded. She liked it. So she knows, like, well, she doesn't, she won't put the two together unless she actually looks at like the invoice or something. She wouldn't put it, but if she has been keeping up with my post, maybe she will know that, hey, look, I remember this guy Otaku, and I remember him asking me about what my first book was, and me telling him, and then, because this is what got me to get that book. She said, hey, my first story in art is actually in this book. And I went to eBay, I kind of looked through it, it wasn't available for a reasonable price, but there was an auction, put in a bid, got it super low, super cheap. So yeah, when we picked up that book, the next logical thing to do was to get her to sign it. And I was kind of waiting to hope, you know, I'm just gonna keep it, hold on to it and wait until she came to Emerald City Comic Con. But lo and behold, CGC announces a private signing event. She's going to be there. It's going to happen, I think, right at the end of September. So, yeah, I said, this is just a sign. So, I kind of made use of my extra submission that I took out. Of course, it's a little bit more in terms of the signing and everything, but again, I didn't really tell my wife. I just gonna say, hey, you know, I kind of submitted that one late, but it's part of that birthday submission if she asks. But the way they bill you and invoice you, like down the line, you know, my wife has an idea of what I've submitted, but when these things come tiered in terms of invoices, she's not even gonna understand like how much was charged. So, you know, we're milking her of maybe an additional $20-$30, which should be fine. I mean, it's been a few months, so that's that. Okay, but that's coming back. We're anticipating that to come back right around November, along with my other signature series books. So if I see progress made on that and I get those 2 shipments back, I'm gonna try to consolidate those 2, keep them, and unbox them together. Because I think it'll just be fun to unbox 4 books rather than 3 and then 1 in 2 separate ones, right? dropped off at Half Price Books, and man, I wish I had more money. Half Price Books got in a slew, just like I would say like a stack like this of Amazing Spider-Man. The most recent volume, I think, is started 2008 volume. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man, the most recent run. No like issue 1 or anything like that. Nothing really, like there aren't really many keys in that run as of yet. There are a few variant covers, but that one of the variant covers that I like to stay. And they got in a bunch of like other, you know, more modern comics that are kind of in demand. And we dug through, and there were just a lot of keys there. I mean, I left, you know, like $12, $20 books there, because we couldn't pick them all up. I mean, it would have cost you, and we're talking about modern books that are $3.99, $4 essentially. So per book we're getting $2. That's normally more than I would like to spend on a book. I usually don't pick up moderns unless they're real, like really big keys with some value to it. And yeah, we got some big books. We got some. I had to pick these up, and so we spent about $9.30 on this haul for 4 books. That's roughly $2.32 a book. But the amount of value we got back, we got a good $300 of value back. So that's about $75. So, you know, in terms of what we spent and the value we got back, we got about $72.67 of value per book from this haul, which is pretty remarkable if you consider what we spent, and again, getting $72 in value per book in this haul. And so we'll go over what we got, and again, it's a small haul, 4 books, but again, I think you'll be surprised that we were able to pick these up for the price that we did. So, for this book, Justice League #1. I think this is volume 5, no, volume 3. Justice League volume 3, #1, 2018. And this book is not in the great shape. There's a, let's see, there's a corner crease there. It also is in the back. This corner is okay. And the spine, there's a lot of spine ticks along the edge, you'll see. You can probably see them through there. Just a, you know, like, that's a good 1, 2, 3. You really can't tell this because there's like stars here. It's like there's a starry background. So definitely 1, 2, 3. I'd say a good 4 visible spine ticks there. Okay. And then there's a rippling through the book. That's just unsightly. So this definitely needs a press. You could probably see through the back of the board the rippling that's going on there. Anyway, trust me, there's rippling there. You maybe see through there. So this one definitely needs a press. I mean, as long as it presses and gets that rippling out, this crease, you know, I would say this is a good solid 8.0. But what I normally, and again, this isn't like a high value book, but what makes it really special is it's signed by Jim Chung, the cover artist. Now, this was not signed to me, obviously. It was signed to a dude named CJ CJ. And what's interesting is my initials are BK. So AB, so BC, JK. CJ, BK. It's just, it hit me as odd. It definitely had that boom, like that Young vibe, like CJ, BK, 2BK, 2CJ, best, Jim Chung. Either way, it's a signed book. It's not to me, but for me, it feels like it's to me. I found it, and yeah, that's verified. I looked up. Well, I mean, you can tell because he writes that on his that's a sign for his works as well. That again, if you look at his CGC Signature books, that right there is his signature. That's CHE. Yeah, for now, I'm happy to just have a signed Jim Chung book in my collection. And man, we want to press this out. It's very like, it's weird. It's making me paranoid here. The rippling there. It's not good. All right. So that's just getting us started here. This is the next big book we got. Boom. First print. Spider-Gwen #1. So that was the other thing. They had a bunch of Amazing Spider-Man issues, and they had a bunch of Spider-Gwens. Like they had 1, 2, 3, and like just a bunch of like issues through this initial run, and I think volume 2, which continued. Now, this is my first Spider-Gwen book. I don't collect modern books. I did want to get that Spider-Gwen Peach Momoko cover I mentioned in my last video, and lo and behold, we get an opportunity to get Spider-Gwen #1. Picked it up again for $2. $2 signed book for $2. This for $2. Couldn't pass it up. It's not like 9.8 quality, and I know on books like this, especially these modern books where people are just getting them and submitting them to CGC, and they're coming back as modern 9.8s. There are going to be a ton of 9.8s, so I don't know how much value something like this, which this one here is probably closer to an 8.0. It does need a press. There's just some like edge issues. Got spine ticks. There's some like corner. It's not a sharp corner, but overall, it's not. It's again, there are no creases. It's a modern book. I think with a good press, it could come back 8.5, but it's in the 8.0 range, I would say. Superman has always been Christopher Reeve, the original Warner Brothers 1979 movie, Superman. It was 1980. I was a little kid when I saw that, but it left such a deep impression on me. And for the longest time, I would say from when I was a little kid, all the way through like middle school, high school even, there wasn't any other definitive image there wasn't any other image or identity for me in terms of what I thought about Superman. It's always been Christopher Reeve, probably through college into adulthood, early adulthood, and Lois Lane was always the person I considered Clark's love. But then comes, I think 2002 or 2000, I think it was 2003. 2003, we get Smallville. And we get a young actress named Kristen Crook, who played Lana Lang. And that just, it's just kind of like, okay, Lois becomes his love interest, or his wife and love interest, or whatever, later in life. But here's his first love, Lana Lang. And man, Smallville was like, I just watched that religiously. I love that show, and the reason I love that show was because of Lana Lang, Kristen Crook, who played Lana Lang. She was just incredibly just, oh my god, I just had the biggest crush on her. What was interesting was, for the first time I saw, Kal-El and Diana, Wonder Woman, they get romantically involved in that book. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what, why didn't they do this earlier? It makes so much sense, and it just clicked. So for me, it went from Lois to Lana, and then now I'm in Camp Wonder Woman, right? Because they kind of have the same lifestyle. Lois doesn't have to sacrifice it. Lois has a lot to sacrifice being with Clark and Superman, but Wonder Woman doesn't have to sacrifice much. She's Wonder Woman, he's Superman. It's like they don't have to really do much outside of being together and just being there for one another and helping people, which is what they do, right, together. So it just makes more sense. Anyway, that's sort of a long tangent that I ran off on, but I did pick up this book, Spider-Gwen number 24. And this is a huge book because it's the first appearance of Gwenom. Gwen gets infected by the symbiote in this version of the alternate reality where she exists. And just a big book. Picked it up for $2, and again, it's a pretty clean copy. I would say it's a 9.0. There are little issues here and there, but for the most part, I think with the press, again, it would come back a 9.0 easy. It's a pretty clean book. The reason I brought up Lois Lane and love interest in the first place is because of the same kind of argument, I guess you can make, for Peter Parker. Peter Parker currently kind of has sort of like 3 love interests. Had 3 love interests. It was first, Gwen Stacy. She died. And then it was Mary Jane. Mary Jane was like Pete's, the love of Pete's life, and that's everybody's favorite. Mary Jane is Marvel's Lois Lane, right? And then you had Black Cat. She kind of pined for Peter. They were never really sort of together, but I think it's more, they're opening it up to Peter and her having some kind of relationship now. I haven't read enough to keep up with that. And I know the Spider-Gwen, the Gwen that's in the alternate timeline with Miles. I know Miles and Gwen are a thing, and I'm cool with that. My point is, I don't really have a strong opinion as to who Peter Parker should be with or who Miles should be with or any of that. But I do want to go on record and say that Gwen is my favorite character among like Black Cat, Mary Jane, and Gwen Stacy was always my like, because because I was reading the original comics and reading through what happened, how she tragically died, and that, like, you were just, as a comic book reader, you, like, Gwen Stacy was just the perfect girl, like, smart, pretty, like, she's so accommodating, just, like, always there for Peter, and, yeah, and that came out in the movie as well, like, if you watch, the Andrew Garfield, the actress Emma Watson, what's her name? Is it Emma Watson? Yeah, no, Emma Watson's Harry Potter. Anyway, the girl who played Gwen Stacy in the movie, she's great. Just a real chemistry between her and Andrew, and yeah, I think Gwen is my girl. Lana's my girl, Gwen's my girl, and let's just leave it at that, okay? But this is, I think, the biggest book we picked up, because I think it just, people see, I guess, some kind of spec value in this, and let me just pull it out so I can show you. It's a beautiful wraparound cover, and I think, like, again, for me, like, I don't have much attachment to this book. It is a key book, but it's not like something I am collecting or anything like that. So, Strange Academy 1. Now, this is not the standard. It's a variant cover, variant edition, but it's by the same artist. Humberto Ramos is the artist, I believe, but it's his cover where he does the character designs. So basically, it's a first issue with all these new characters at Doctor Strange's Academy. It's kind of like Harry Potter meets Marvel meets X-Men, like it's kind of like, it has that vibe. But yeah, you see all these like cool first, these are all first appearance characters, and these are Ramos's character designs for those characters. So it's a really cool cover. This is probably priced at around $150. It's looking around $150. And so this one's available. I'll part with this one for $75 for anybody that's interested. Clean book, minty fresh. Well, I want to say minty fresh. There's spine ticks, but it's not color breaking. So with a nice press, this has 9.8 potential. As is, it's I would say it's like a 9.0, 9.2. But yeah, just happy with these big pickups. Again, anytime you can pick up keys like this for half cover, it's a win. And so, for a signed book by Jimmy Cho for $2, it's a win. To CJ, to BK, I see it as to BK, Jim Cho. Great, but again, this one desperately needs a press. We'll do that at some point. All right, that's it. Again, we've got about, I want to say, a good 2 months before I get some books back from CGC, so we'll just see what happens between here and now, so here and then. and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, peace. Otaku out.